The final Ginetta race of the weekend here at Brands Hatch. The Ginetta GT Academy drivers have the honour of closing the weekend, and after an entertaining race yesterday, which saw James Nicholas notch up another race victory, the championship battle is looking pretty tasty. This, in fact, is likely to be the closest of the Ginetta Championships going into the final round of the season next time at Donington Park. But who is going to come out on top? Well, we'll have to wait and see. It will almost certainly go on until the final race, but at the moment, Jamie Caudle, having been pipped to the win by James Nicholas yesterday, is only a slender margin ahead, 10 points, we reckon, on dropped scores ahead of James Nicholas, with Charlie Digby a little bit further back now. He is some 45 points or so off the championship lead. So realistically, Caudle versus Nicholas, that's the real battle in the overall championship. But then you've got the rookie class championship, which sees Sam Shrimpton on 269 points ahead of Shiv Sapra on 232. That's a 37-point cushion, and the mathematicians among you will have already worked out. But Shiv Sapra, who is not here this weekend, is going to keep on notching up dropped scores. You drop your 4 worst finishes in the Ginetta GT Academy season, so that's one full triple header meeting and another race somewhere that you can drop. So Shiv is going to be dropping all 3 races this weekend. He also had 2 non-finishes at Oulton Park and another one at Silverstone, though, so he's run out of drops now and will likely keep on slipping further back. The race yesterday, James Nicholas controlled very nicely, it has to be said, from pole position. He led the entire way. Initially looked like he was under some threat from Jamie Caudle. We had an early stoppage to the race, and then when the race did get back underway after a red flag, Caudle was a bit of a threat to James Nicholas, it seemed, but was ultimately not able to get close enough to challenge. James then responded with some really quick laps mid-race and scarpered off into the distance by about 4 seconds at one point, backed off on the last lap, but still managed to hang on to the win. James does not, though, have the luxury of starting from pole position in this one. It will be Charlie Digby who has pole. This, I believe, is a grid based upon second fastest qualifying times from yesterday, so James Nicholas has it all to do again, and Charlie Digby, who was third yesterday, has the honour of starting from pole this time around. So Digby will know how significant it's going to be to try and keep James Nicholas behind him here, because James showed yesterday, once he's in clean air, he's a very difficult man to beat. There is James Nicholas, the Palmer Sports Scholarship winner from a year ago. Now in his 2nd season of car racing. He was a winner on Davy, remember, when he first sat in a racing car last year. And a title contender as well. This year, very much a title contender. Looked as though things were maybe not going to go all his way this year. He had a few iffy results at the start of the year. Took him till round 4 at Silverstone to get his first win. Notched another 2 up then at Oulton Park, which is when his championship campaign really started to come to life. Another win last time at Snetterton for James, and his win yesterday equals now the 5 wins for Jamie Caudle. The only difference between them has been Jamie's slightly lower drop scores and a little bit more consistency across the board, really. So Jamie Caudle with that slender 10-point lead, but that can all change. You get 35 points for winning a race, a bonus for pole, a bonus point for fastest lap. And there's a good chance that that gap could further come down. Jamie Caudle there, we ride on board with briefly. He's the turquoise and black number 51 car, the E3 Sport colours. And he starts 1 position behind James Nicholas, but crucially on the inside line. Now remember, it's a rolling start in the GT Academy. That inside line, I would argue, is a bit of an advantage. So will he be able to maybe get his nose to the inside of James Nicholas's car into Paddock Hill Bend? And if so, who stands their ground the firmest? That could be a really interesting battle. It's the 2nd and 3rd place cars on the grid we're talking about. They're your title contenders. Charlie Digby, an outside bet for the championship, just wants to try and claim a 3rd win of the season. So for the final time this weekend, it's time to go Ginetta Racing here at Brands Hatch. The Ginetta GT Academy drivers line themselves up for the rolling start, and the race gets underway with the red lights extinguishing. It's a pretty even start from the front row. Good start made further back by 47 Simon Trays, but there's nowhere to go. So 2 by 2 they run into Paddock Hill Bend. Look at Caudle though. Caudle is up alongside James Nicholas. Is he? James wants to close the door, but isn't sure where Caudle is, so sticks to the outside line. And is that going to prevail for James Nicholas, or will it cost him a place? Well wide there goes Shiv Sapra and that was Sam Shrimpton. Both of them drifting out wide. And as they drop down through Graham Hill Bend, Sapra sideways again. Essentially, if Sapra's not racing this weekend, he's just had 2 non-finishes, hasn't he? One non-finish, sorry, yesterday. And now in this second race, knows it's important to try and beat Sam Shrimpton. He is ahead of Shrimpton at the moment as they wind their way through Surtees and up the hill. The leading 3 getting away, though. James Nicholas did keep Jamie Caudle behind, so that's part 1 of the job done. But can he stay there till the flag? There are the leading 3. Digby, Nicholas, Caudle. Then the rookie class battle, Sapra versus Sam Shrimpton. And then a bit of a gap back to Louis Darling, the number 25 car behind. James Nicholas then, yesterday, proved that he was quicker than everybody else, but he doesn't have the track position right now. Is he going to have enough of a speed advantage over Charlie Digby to make the move? And of course, he's got to be careful, because if he makes a move and it doesn't work, it could cost him second place, and that would be disastrous, because the man who would relieve him of second place is his championship rival. So a really tense situation this for James Nicholas. He knows he's got the speed to win this one, but is he going to be able to make it happen? So round towards the end of lap 1 we go. We believe this is going to be a full 20-minute race. The time now starts ticking down on the timing screen. For some reason it hadn't already started to do so. Round Paddock Hill Bend then, with Digby feeling the pressure. We're right on board with James Nicholas then. A slightly tighter line through Paddock. Feints to the inside, forces the defensive move from Digby. And James is hoping now that that will give him more speed off the corner and maybe a chance to attack into Graham Hill Bend. But he's not really close enough, so they stay as they were. Further back, that's Simon Traves on the attack. And there, number 6 is Peter Thompson. Peter Thompson leading the Chairman's Cup ahead of Alan Wright and Robin Grimwood at the moment. Those 3 have had some good battles throughout the year. Alan Wright, the gold and white number 77 car directly behind. Was that a bit of a mistake maybe from Charlie Digby? He looked a little bit wide to me coming out of Surtees. And so as they head down Pilgrim's Drop, yes, this lead gap is about as small as it's been since the start of the race. There's just nowhere for Nicholas to go. Into Hawthorne, round the right-hander. He's got a car length or so back to Caudle. So at the moment, not under too much pressure from his title rival. And that might free him up to try some more inventive lines to get past race leader Charlie Digby. Round the right-hander at Sheen Curve, over the top of the hill. And through the left-hander at Stirling's. Was that a snatch of the brake maybe for Digby, or just the screech of tyres? Remember, they run on road tyres, road-legal tyres, a semi-slick, I suppose. But they will occasionally snatch brakes or brake traction on corner exit. They move around a lot, these cars. That's what makes them a great place to come and learn your craft. And we've seen these drivers get better and better as the year has gone on, to the point that now there's basically nothing to choose between them. Shiv Sapra there, just distancing himself slightly from Sam Shrimpton. Louis Darling and Simon Traves are in behind them. And there is Shiv Sapra then, rookie class leader. And as I said, he is 35 points or so adrift of Sam Shrimpton coming into this race. So really does need to finish the race first and foremost, because he's already used up all 4 of his drops. And needs to, if possible, finish ahead of Sam Shrimpton and try and start bringing that gap down. Remember, they've got 3 races to come at Donington, but there is a chance that the race that had to be cancelled today because of the delays to the timetable earlier on could also take place at Donington Park. So there's a good chance we'll still have 4 races to go. That's a big moment for Robin Grimwood, and for a horrifying moment, I thought he was spearing towards the barriers on driver's left, but he did a good job to catch that and rejoins. I don't think he's even lost a position, although might now lose a position to Lucy Hodgson and indeed Lexi Belk, both of them up the inside into Hawthorne. And is Grimwood going to have to give that one up? I think he probably will. Lexi Belk nearly into the back of Lucy Hodgson, and in fact nearly gets to the inside of Lucy as they turn through Westfield Corner. They both go through though, and 2 places lost as a result of that slide for Robin Grimwood, but it could have been an awful lot worse. Next car behind them, by the way, is Phil McGarty. He's in 13th place there, the turquoise, yellow and white car, trying to close in on this trio as they rather trip over each other. Out to Stirling's they go, back down towards Clearways. And Lucy Hodgson with a bit of clean air now in front will try to get her head down and pull away from the 2 cars she's just been busy battling with. Speaking of battling, here's the lead battle. And there's a danger, isn't there, that Nicholas ends up getting sort of stuck behind Digby. even though I think he knows he's probably quicker, when you spend a couple of laps behind somebody, you lose all momentum, you lose all references, you start driving to their braking point, to their turning point, and you start to almost forget or lose the ability to go any quicker than them. And you get these sort of stalemate situations, especially when there's a trio of cars. It's such a difficult thing to do, to be in James Nicholas's situation here, in the middle of a group of three, both attacking and defending at the same time, and knowing that every potential attack you make could end up costing you second place. And indeed, as I say that, the gap between second and third comes down, the gap between first and second goes out ever so slightly, and James Nicholas has to start clawing his way back onto the tail of the number 14 car again. Already starting to do that, though. Looks so much more committed through the high-speed corners is James Nicholas. He's got that car really working well underneath him. And maybe this is not a bad thing, actually, dropping back by a length or so, because now he arrives on Digby's tail with some momentum. Can he do anything with it? They sail through the left-hander at Sterling's, both of them using all of the curb, but not an inch more on the exit of the turn. It's hard to overtake on the Grand Prix loop, though. Most of your overtaking chances will come in the next 40 seconds or so, really, through the Indy circuit. Just heard James Nicholas have to breathe off the throttle slightly there through clearways, as he maybe picked up a little bit of oversteer or understeer, and that just cost him a mile an hour or so on corner exit, and as a result isn't close enough to challenge into Paddock Hill Bend. So the stalemate continues. Black and white warning flags for cars 25 and 47 for exceeding track limits. That is Louis Darling and Simon Traves, who are busy battling over 6th position. Not really battling, actually, though. They're over a second apart, but they've both been pinged for track limits, and we're only about a third of the way through the race, so that's quite early to be picking up warnings for track limits. Nicholas then round the left-hander at Surtees, building up another challenge here, you feel. He's got good momentum over the hill. He'll pick up a little bit of a slipstream down the hill. Gets a face full of dust for his troubles from Charlie Digby ahead. These three still at play as well. Lucy Hodgson, Lexi Belk and Robin Grimwood behind, heading past the scene nearly of his demise a couple of laps ago. But no change in the order for now. Now look at this, Digby defending the lead into Westfield. That means he's slow on the exit, and that's opened the door for Nicholas. James Nicholas was waiting patiently for his chance, and when it came, he took it immediately. So James Nicholas to the lead, just keeps it within the white lines out of Sheen Curve, and now just needs to get his head down, not make a mistake, and he should have the pace to pull away. It's now absolutely vital that Jamie Caudle goes with him, because this would be a fairly significant difference in the points as it stands. You get 35 points for a win. You get 26 for finishing in third. That's a 9-point swing. There are 10 points between them, so it's crucial that Caudle tries to get past Digby now to limit the damage being done by James Nicholas. Helpfully for Caudle at the moment, it is Digby who has the fastest lap point, so that's at least one bonus point that isn't currently going the way of James Nicholas. But now that Nicholas is in clean air, he may well be able to go faster, so watch this space as far as the fastest lap point is concerned. But you could just sort of feel that coming, couldn't you? As they headed out of Surtees, Nicholas was closing, and I reckon he had a really good run through Hawthorne, forced Digby to defend into Westfield, and once you defend into Westfield, you lose all speed on corner exit, and Nicholas was able to slip through. Louis Darling's had a moment, already being warned about exceeding track limits. Is this another moment, another problem that he's had at Graham Hill there? Well, he's pulling into the pit lane, actually, so Louis Darling's had enough, and he heads for the pit lane area. Has also been an issue for the 63 of Ben Cook, who I suspect has overcooked it at Paddock Hill Bend. The car looking very gravelly, and there's a suspicious-looking cloud of dust emanating from that part of the track. So put two and two together, and I reckon he maybe is the culprit. So he will possibly have to pit to get the gravel cleared from the car. We're not even quite halfway through this race, and there are still scores to be settled. Jamie Caudle, as I've documented, needs to get past Charlie Digby, especially because James Nicholas is now setting purple sectors, fastest of anybody in Sector 1, within half a tenth of the outright best middle sector, which he already had, and I suspect this is going to be a new fastest lap of the race. So through he comes to the line. What's the lap time for James Nicholas? It is a 1:38.731, quite comfortably a new fastest lap of the race. So that's now 10 points more than Jamie Caudle that he would be scoring. So at the moment, my rough maths tells me they would be tied for the championship lead heading to the final rounds at Donington Park, unless Caudle can get past Digby. That's the key. Caudle has to try and make this move. I don't know whether Jamie's the kind of driver who will be doing the calculations in his head, or whether he just takes it race by race and lets the team worry about that sort of thing. But if he's got even a vague idea of what the point situation would be, he will be extra determined to get himself ahead of that second place car in the near future. This battle's still raging on, and Lexi Belt goes to the inside. Nice move made there by the 98 car into Graham Hill Bend, forces Lucy Hodgson wide, and that opens the door for Robin Grimwood. So Robin Grimwood will also slip through. He, remember, lost a position to both of these drivers at Surtees a couple of laps ago, and now Lucy Hodgson also loses 2 positions and slips down the order. These are all GTA class drivers as well, so they're not rookies. That is a battle for class position as well. So Nicholas the leader, Digby still second, and Jamie Caudle there in 3rd position. Round Surtees they go. Caudle again looks the quicker of the two, but where can he make the pass? How much of a risk is he willing to take, knowing that if it all goes completely wrong, he could find himself not just tied for the championship lead heading to Donington, but maybe behind the championship leader going to Donington. That would be an absolute disaster. He's close enough, I think, to have a go here into Paddock Hill Bend. He thinks about the inside line, but Charlie Digby is later on the brakes. Does he make the corner? Yes, he does. And so it stays as it was. Digby ahead of Caudle. But this has got a real pressure cooker feeling to it, hasn't it? The tension that naturally starts to mount in the latter half of the year. And it's little moments like this, little battles like this, that can decide a championship. It's very easy as a championship contender to think, well, maybe I ought to not take the risk. Maybe I should just settle for 3rd place points. But then how many times at the end of the year do you see somebody lose the championship by a point or 2 and think, what if I'd taken a bit of a risk at Brands? What if I'd gone for that move? Then I'd be standing here lifting the championship trophy. So Jamie Caudle, I don't think, can really afford to settle for 3rd here. James Nicholas is in some good form. The one thing that's in Caudle's favour, though, is that he sort of outperformed Nicholas at Donington Park at the start of the year. To be fair, neither of them had a perfect weekend. The 3 races at Donington at the start of the year, the wins were shared. Digby got 1, Caudle got 1. And, in fact, sorry, Digby won 2, didn't he? Charlie Digby was the driver who won 2 races at the season opener. James Nicholas did not win any races at Donington, though, so that's maybe the slight little advantage that might lie psychologically, if nothing else, in Caudle's mind. That he went better than Nicholas at Donington at the start of the year. But he'd rather not go there, having to prove that. He'd like to go there with a little bit of a cushion at least. But he's dropped back a length or so from Charlie Digby at the moment. 6 3/4 minutes still remain. And he closes back in again, under braking for Paddock Hill Bend. Just clips the curb on the inside line, and look, that sends him a little bit wider, just a tyre's width wider maybe over the exit curb, but that can be the difference sometimes between drifting beyond track limits and staying within them. So Jamie Caudle needs to be a bit careful of that. No one being warned about track limits just yet, though. So, well, actually, that's a lie. Simon Traves is, in fact, being warned about track limits, as is Ben Cook. But, of course, he's been off the road anyway. Also, to his Charlie Digby there. 2 wheels in the grass coming out of Surtees. Now, did that cost him any momentum over the top of the hill? I don't really think it did, actually. Caudle hasn't gained anyway. So, despite running in the dirt, I think Charlie Digby just kept the right foot planted and hoped for the best there. Digby's slender championship hopes also kind of rest on keeping Caudle behind him, so he's extra incentivised here to keep the 51 car at bay. Shiv Sapra, by the way, still leads in the rookies, now by 2.1 seconds over Sam Shrimpton, so you're not missing anything there. Shrimpton just not quite had the pace to challenge Shiv Sapra in this race. Shiv, his car broke down or had an issue of some sort just before the resumption of the race yesterday, after the red flag stopped on the green flag lap, and that took him out of contention. So Shrimpton was able to notch up a class win and another haul of points. Unlike the Ginetta GT Championship, you do score points within your class in this series, so there was a maximum points haul for Shrimpton and another 0 for Shiv Sapra. Down through Paddock Hill Bend, you can see the scrape marks on the tarmac from where the cars have been routinely bottoming out on the tarmac through the right-hander. Rear tyres starting to cry enough now as well as they slither their way out of Druids and drop down into Graham Hill Bend through the 90-degree left-hander, an awkward 90-degree left-hander. You're dropping downhill and the road flattens out just as you turn into the corner. You lose any camber and the car has a real tendency to slide out wide. Oh, and they both dip two wheels in the grass this time out of Surtees. They're both pushing here, aren't they? But there's just nowhere for Jamie Caudle to make a move. He's not been able to get within striking range. James Nicholas, by the way, as if to prove a point, has just set another new fastest lap of the race now, 1:38.183. That is a couple of tenths slower than he went yesterday, but it's still a very impressive pace for this deep in the race. That was his 9th lap of the race, and still going quicker than he has been so far. Grimwood's car there with a little bit of trim just hanging loose on the right-hand side. That won't be affecting him at all, though, as he continues to chase after Lexi Belk. They've really distanced themselves now from Lucy Hodgson, who at the start of the lap was 2.5 seconds behind these two, as they continue to battle over 9th place. They head through Hawthorne and into Westfield once again. The noses dip, pitch the car in over the curb, and Robin Grimwood with this distinctive livery that he always runs. It's a great looking car, and it looks pretty quick, but not maybe quick enough to make a move on Lexi Belk for the time being. So they head around Stirling's. The leaders have just come through to complete another lap, but time ticking down now. More black and white warning flags, by the way, 14 and 51. Well, that's Digby and Caudle, so 2nd and 3rd place. I suppose if they both get a track limits penalty, then it matters little. They'll both be still genuinely fighting for position. They haven't yet got a penalty, but they're being warned that if they do it again, they will. So that's the 2nd and 3rd place drivers. There's the leader there in the background, and again whispering exceeding track limits slightly was Charlie Digby. I don't know whether they're monitoring track limits on the exit of Surtees though, because it's sort of self-punishing really. If you dip a wheel over the edge of the curb there, you get on the grass, you spin the rear tyres, you lose momentum over the hill. There's the confirmation on the screen of that warning flag. So both of the cars on your screen being warned about exceeding track limits. So not only have they got the pressure of this pretty intense battle for 2nd place to deal with, but they've got to do battle, all the while making absolutely sure that they don't go beyond the white lines, which could become particularly tricky if they end up side by side at any point. Now they will get that message on the LED board that is up above the starting gantry, so they'll see that as they come through this time, but they'll be coming through this time to start the penultimate lap of the race, so 2 more laps to go. Will either of these drivers maybe now start to drive a little bit more within themselves with that track limits warning in mind? Somehow doubt it, really. To be fair, Charlie Digby has managed this situation exceptionally well. He's been twice a winner this year, but both of those wins came at the season opener at Donington, so he hasn't won since the start of the year in, what was that, April? And isn't seemingly going to add to that win tally today. He's had a handful of other podium finishes, though, 3 2nd places and 5 3rd places. A total 10 podiums in all. This would be podium number 11, but he'd love it to be the 2nd step rather than the 3rd. Caudle, though, has closed in here, hasn't it? It's been a slightly scruffy first half or so of the lap for Digby. He was wide at Paddock Hill Bend. He's lost more ground coming out of Graham Hill Bend, and again just dips 2 wheels over the edge of the curb at Surtees. So of the two, Digby is the one making the more mistakes at the moment, isn't he? There's Shiv Sapra, more than putting the disappointment from yesterday behind him, as he is dominating in the rookie category in this race. 4.3 seconds clear of Sam Shrimpton at the moment. And the number 8 machine prepared by Paradigm by Zentech. So the Zentech squad with 2 cars in this race, he and Simon Traves, who currently runs in 6th position. So battle for 2nd, round Stirling's for the penultimate time. The last lap board awaits for James Nicholas. He's well and truly out in front. There goes the race leader, who is set potentially in a another 2.5 miles or so's time to break the tie for most wins on the season. He and Jamie Caudle both on 5 wins at the moment, but James Nicholas only a lap away from taking win number 6. The last lap then begins. What's going to happen for second position? Is Charlie Digby going to hang on, or can Jamie Caudle get through? It has fairly significant championship implications, the result of this battle. If they finish as they are now, I think provisionally that Caudle and Nicholas could be tied on points heading to Donington Park, but if Caudle can get past Digby, then he will score an extra 4 points. That would be his margin heading to the finale. That big slide through Druids, though, did not do Jamie Caudle any favours, and as a result, he's got it all to do now just to get back within striking range, and most of the overtaking opportunities are on this first part of the lap. That's why Caudle was throwing everything at Paddock Hill Bend and Druids, because he knew that was his chance to try and make something happen. Down the hill we go then towards Hawthorne. Another fastest lap, by the way, from James Nicholas last time around, so any thoughts that he might have had of just easing the pace off towards the end in this one are certainly distant in his mind. He's still pushing on. His first sector's pretty competitive as well on this lap, so James Nicholas 38.147, still a couple of tenths away from what he did yesterday, but he has been the class of the field this weekend. It has to be said, he's done everything he can to drag himself back onto terms with Jamie Caudle in the championship. There is going to be virtually, in fact perhaps literally, nothing between them going to Donington Park, and that's all courtesy of a perfect Brands Hatch weekend for James Nicholas. 2 race wins, 2 fastest laps, a near maximum haul of points. He is rightfully weaving in celebration as he takes the checkered flag for a 6th time this year, and that could be one of the most important wins of the lot. Charlie Digby second, and Jamie Caudle comes home in 3rd position, and he'll be very disappointed with that. Shiv Sapra, meanwhile, 4th, is the rookie class winner, and that just keeps his championship hopes alive, with potentially still 4 races to go if we can get the race from earlier on today in at Donington Park. And if that is the case, then he's got 4 opportunities at Donington to try and overhaul what's going to be something like a 30-point deficit to Sam Shrimpton, who comes home second in class. It is James Nicholas, though, who wins again in the Ginetta GT Academy. A double race win, and that one even more dominant than the first, despite the fact he only hit the front halfway through that time. Yesterday he led from start to finish. This time started second, couldn't get past Digby at the start, and had to really work to get the lead, and then simply checked out into the distance. Good battle going on here a little bit further back. This is the number 4 car of Damien Duffy and the white number 55 of Chris Babington. They are battling over 13th position, I believe. Yes, Phil McGarty goes across the line just ahead of them, and it is going to be 13th place for Duffy, 14th for Babington. Duffy, another one of the rookie drivers in that race, and they will be not the last 2 finishers, actually. Ben Cook will be the last finisher, but he is some way adrift after his gravelly moment at Paddock Hill Bend. James Nicholas, though, pulls in underneath the Brands Hatch podium to be greeted by the team, and the E3 Sports squad very, very pleased indeed with that result, as well they should be. And of course, to add to this really interesting championship battle we've got, remember, he and Jamie Caudle are both teammates at E3 Sport, and they're going to go to go to Donington Park, sorry, the decider. Virtually inseparable in the championship. All of that courtesy of a second win of the weekend for James Nicholas, 3.5 seconds clear at the end of Charlie Digby, who fended off points leader Jamie Caudle, who had to settle for 3rd. Shiv Sapra was 4th and won the rookies ahead of Sam Shrimpton, with Simon Trave 6th, Peter Thompson 7th, Alan Wright 8th, and Lexi Belk and Robin Grimwood surviving that scary moment at Surtees to complete the top 10. Lucy Hodgson was 11th, then it was Phil McGarty and Damien Duffy, with Chris Babington and Ben Cook the last of the finishers. Louis Darling, unfortunately, retired to the pit lane halfway through the race, as we saw him slowing heading out of Graham Hill Bend. So that is our racing done with here at Brands Hatch. Don't forget that the Ginetta Championships will be back at Donington Park. The second race in the end of the weekend here at Brands Hatch for the GT Academy saw Charlie Digby hold on to the early lead from pole position. James Nicholas, yesterday's winner, had to settle into second. He had a big go around the outside at Druids, but was always concerned about allowing his championship rival Jamie Caudle through. The pair were 10 points apart coming into the race, and James Nicholas wanted to make sure that gap came down. Robin Grimwood's heart rate would have spiked there with that big moment out of Surtees, from which he survived. Eventually, though, a mistake was made by the race leader, Charlie Digby, and at half race distance, James Nicholas made his move, got the lead away, and simply sailed off into the distance, stealing the fastest lap point as well. Lexi Belk and Lucy Hodgson were having a good battle in the midfield, but that battle really opened the door for Robin Grimwood to get through. He took advantage of the moment for Hodgson at Graham Hill Bend and slipped by into Surtees. Through went Robin Grimwood. Further up the order, Shiv Sapra, bouncing back from his non-finish yesterday, was in a commanding position in the rookies class and would go on to take the race win. James Nicholas, though, would win overall, and on our provisional calculations, it's next to nothing now between he and Jamie Caudle heading to the Donington Decider.